I think the issue that we've had lately with doctors is that they're under certain guidelines or rules, and a lot of doctors can't practice freely. So that's my understanding of the situation. There are certain doctors that don't even have an accurate understanding of the endogenous cannabinoid system in itself. So that's a whole nother, as a biological system. So as far as like the comparison with opioids and cannabis, as far as like that relationship, I've seen so many people, like the veterans, just kids in general, especially like the kids with seizures, being on Valium, 7.5 milligrams of Valium at a very early age, which in relation to cannabis is going to do nothing in comparison.
Right.
So what are the thought processes behind like limiting THC, like the cap limit? Like what are the I don't understand the logic.
Sure. Well, they don't understand cannabis very well. There are a lot of conversations that need to happen. There are 101 legislators in this building, and they all have a staff, and they all need to be educated on this stuff to understand it, because they're coming from a place of fear, misinformation, propaganda that has been peddled by our own government for decades, and that's where they're coming from. So we have to bring that information to help them be comfortable, realizing that this is something, sure, it does have a psychoactive impact, and we need to recognize that and understand how to consume responsibly, but it can be managed responsibly. And so it's a matter of conversations. It's a matter of bringing the facts to them. It is slow rolling. We have 140 days every 2 years. And now we're competing with incredible, incredibly time-consuming issues like the energy crisis that Texas is facing, redistricting. They've got sunset commissions. They've got an economic crisis that they're dealing with in the fallout from COVID-19. And here we are trying to make sure that this issue remains a priority and continues to get the attention it deserves, because families are suffering needlessly. We do not need to be arresting 45,000 people a year, and the state could even benefit from it if we tax this reasonably, like every other commodity that's on the market.
My thing is like, okay, when are we going to say that alcohol doesn't have any medicinal value?
Right. It's frustrating, the hypocrisy, the contradictions, but we're dealing with government, so there's no shortage of that, and we just have to overcome it, and we have to do it in a friendly way. We have to do it in a way that these people can receive our message and understand that we're on the right side of history here. We want to welcome them. We want to earn their support.
Over to the side.
Come on to the good side, and they're getting there, and we see a majority of support for expanding the compassionate use program. So the question is, how far are we going to be able to take it? Are we going to pass Senator Menendez Senate Bill 90, which is a comprehensive medical cannabis program, or are we going to go with something more limited? We would obviously prefer, which is what we've been working for, which is a comprehensive program, putting Texas on par with 36 states in the U.S. Like you said,
36.
Every state surrounding ours.
Yeah.
It's embarrassing. We're behind Louisiana and Arkansas and Oklahoma.
Yeah.
My goodness.
Yeah.
But you know what? We're coming along, and we have over a dozen medical bills that have been introduced, lots to be considered. And while what seems to be the front runner bill is much more restrictive than we would like, there's opportunity for us to work to get that expanded, get amendments made. Make sure you're reaching out to the committee, and they can put pressure on the chair who's authored the bill, Representative Click, who was the champion of the original compassionate use program. And of course, we want to see that bill become as robust as possible, as inclusive as possible, so that we can expand the compassionate use program and get it functioning properly.
Compassionate use is 2015?
Originally 2015, expanded in 19.
Okay. So in that time, we've had, in my guesstimation, we maybe had 15 states that legalized back in 2014, 2012, and then we had 22, 30, 32, 30. And so I'm wondering, like, what are they all going to different schools?
Well, I'll tell you this, what it is that other states have citizen-initiated ballot referendums where you can collect signatures and put it on the ballot. And I'll tell you, it would cost a lot of money, but we could pass a ballot initiative in this state. The problem is that Texas doesn't allow that. We're not allowed to collect signatures and place something on the ballot. If you have ever voted on a ballot proposal, it's because it's a constitutional amendment. And in order to get a constitutional amendment on the ballot, the legislature has to pass a resolution with a supermajority in both chambers. Now, it is veto proof if that happens and it goes on the ballot. The bigger problem, though, is that they're very vague. And so if it passes on the ballot, it goes back to the legislature and they're mandated to pass something, but there's no specifics on exactly what's going to happen. And so I would like to see something like that be much more defined, like it is in the other states, where it is very specific about what they're going to do, what agencies are going to do what, and that's not what it is in Texas, unfortunately.
No, it kind of freaked me out creating other agencies. Okay, like what other supervision do you need for, I know we have TABC, you know what I mean?
Which there's a bill to introduce to abolish. So let's just swap out a cannabis regulatory agency with the TABC.
I'm down.
I'm on board with that.
That makes a lot of sense.
Or just a division under the licensing and regulation
Right,
department, which
right.
is probably what makes the most sense.